Hi, my name is Keith and I am a minimalist collector. I am happy to report that today is finally the end of eBay for me. Never say never, but at this point I have nothing left that I think can sell on eBay. I have nothing posted. I have the last item packed up. It has been paid for and it'll go to the post office bright and early Monday morning. It occurred to me today that the first thing I sold on eBay in this whole cycle was just before Christmas last year. So it's actually been a whole year. A couple of breaks in the middle. Sometimes I had a lot happening and sometimes not much. Right behind me, I've shown this before, this is the closet in my office in the Booster Cave. And it became the sales area for eBay for the entire summer, for months and months. And I'm now at the point where I can disassemble all this. So I do have packing materials and those kinds of things. For a year I have hung on to every piece of bubble wrap or those air packets that you now get in a lot of packaging, which are way better than the styrofoam. I think they're great. And also recyclable, and the styrofoam peanuts are not. So I'm gonna decide right now what's gonna go into my cute little totes that I end up emptying and then use for another task. So this is going to be my my packing, my mailing pack. It is just in case I do find something else that I want to sell on eBay, but I'll put a limit to it. If I don't end up using anything for the kit in, say, 6 months, then the kit can probably go. But for now, it'll be what I organize. So here's a box of number 10 envelopes. I used 0 of these. I did a little over 100 items on eBay in the last year. So everything from trading cards all the way up to the absolute Sandman collections, which are 20-pound hardcovers. 0 is what I've used these. So I'm actually going to just take these I'm going to donate these to my office. My office can always use something like that. These are mailing labels. So they're actually just a pile of old junky printing labels that I just split in half. They're quite handy for what I was using them for. So those will get in my kit. Then there's all this stuff. Again, I used hardly any of this. Kind of disappointing. I specifically bought these thinking that I would have, I guess DVDs is what I thought I would sell in these, but DVDs end up having no market and I donated them. So all of these things, I think these go to work too. I didn't end up using them. I think, let us say that I don't think that these even Blu-rays that I would sell at this point. So I think I could probably just take all of this to work. And my work has a big office supply area where all sorts of stuff are kept. Like there's actually quite a lot. So all of this stuff can go, and then maybe a year from now, if I still see it there, then I'll quietly make it go away. One thing I found out during the process of all this, which actually I found quite disappointing, is this is a normal bubble envelope, so it's got the pre-glued bubble wrap. I found out these are not recyclable because they're a mixed material. It's paper with plastic inside of it. Which is really disappointing because they're super handy, but it means they're also single use, which is, I don't know, I was disappointed to find that out, that there just is no system. I suppose if you wanted to somehow take it upon yourself to separate that plastic entirely from the paper, you could then recycle it, but without a really labor-intensive method, they're actually garbage. They just go in landfill, which is I wasn't thrilled when I found that out. There's a couple of small labels. That's just junk. Recovering a couple of binder clips. Binder clips are the gold office supply. I love these things, and it's amazing how many other uses you can have. Don't spend $3 on one of those chip bag keepers, binder clip. Your curtains aren't closing right, binder clip. I've used them at work. I use them to hold signage up at events. I've used them to hold up. I've used them to organize cables. Like instead of buying cable organizers for your computer, binder clip. So they're amazing. That said, I want to make sure I don't hang on to too many of them, but I have a little, just a small contained bin of these things, and I use tons of them at work. So if I do have more at home, again, I can just take them in and they'll get well used at work. So the next area that we have to go to is the packing material. I've got a couple of cardboard boxes, so those just get torn down, just get broken down. Before I threw those away, I should have hung on to. Here is, see now. Okay, there's more of that. So I've got some of these, tons of packing materials. It's a year's worth of Amazon packages and etc. They were so incredibly useful, to be totally honest. Because depending on what it got, there was, these were the bigger ones. There were smaller ones that were made it really easy to pack around books. They were terrific. They are recyclable, of course. So I just have to go take a pair of scissors or something to these, get the air out of them, bundle them up. What you should do when you're recycling plastic is take all your plastic bags, put them inside one plastic bag, tie that up. It's a lot easier for them to handle at the recycling depot. So I've got some popping of these ahead. I have now emptied a couple of milk crates, so those will be handy. Let's see now, almost to the end. I have some loose paper that was just used as, again, packing material. I hung on to a couple of newspapers, so that was there if I needed it. I didn't use that much of this, honestly, because once I had these, this is less efficient than these things. Some mailing labels, so those go into the kit. There are a few more cardboard comic backing boards. Those will go into the kit. They may get dumped later. It just depends on if I end up thinking that I'm using some. More tape. That's the lot. This corner will be done in seconds, and eBay is closed. It was a ton of work. I did an earlier video called "Will eBay Make Minimalism Harder?" It is hard. I'm not going to pretend. It was a ton of work. I sold over 100 lots of items. Probably nearly that many that got. Hi, Sicario. The cats dropped by. I probably had nearly that many that got listed and didn't sell. So that's it's a long process. You take photos, you don't want to be on camera? You take pictures, you then have to post it, and if it sells, then you have to mail it, you have to package it up, you have to do all of the process, and it's a ton of work. Now, I did get a lot of money back out of this. I got several $1,000s back out, which is the big benefit, of course. The other benefit I got is that it was hard, and it reminded me the whole time of how much work I did to accumulate this stuff, and then a constant reminder of having it, carrying it, what I've done to organize this stuff over the years. It was a lot, and I think that process will help me not accumulate in the future. Oh, there you go, sweet. I think that'll help me not accumulate in the future. I think it'll help me to remember all of the like those heavy boxes that I carried and bags of stuff. I got several $1,000s back out. I have no idea how much I spent on this stuff. I tried not to think about that part. It's not helpful. It's not a conductive to anything, to any goodness. But the weight itself, actually. There was a moment where I was selling my collection of Absolute Sandmans, which was about a 40-pound box, a little over 40 pounds, to sell the set of those. And carrying that from the car into the post office, thunking it down on the table, it was just so clear to me how much stuff I carried around, how many times I had moved those from place to place, from shelf to shelf. They were in this corner of the shelves, and then that one, and this one, and I read them twice. And that incredible, like the weight of them, the cost of them, just the having of them. And I think that the whole eBay process has helped me to kind of have a much more concrete sense. If I had just thrown these in boxes and donated them, yes, it would have been done faster. And I completely understand the argument for that. And there is a point at which you shouldn't try to chisel this stuff. If you're trying to get a 25 cents back out of a DVD, for example, be done. Don't mess around with it. But if you can my cutoff was actually only about $10. I've heard other people say $20. So put limits on yourself. But I think it was useful to me in the long run, and I'm looking forward to not doing it in the new year, though. I'm looking forward to being on eBay for a long time. So thanks very much for watching. Thanks as I fiddled around with all of this plastic around me. I've got a lot of cleaning to do, and maybe right here I'll drop in all of this stuff falling into a recycling bin. That'll be a nice little image. Thanks for watching. You can visit my blog, ilikehelping.com, Minimalism in a Nerdy World, and I'm putting up new videos every Saturday and new blog posts every Wednesday. And it is almost Christmas as I record this, so I will soon be doing a year-end video, and I've got something special in mind that might take a bit of work, but I think it'll be interesting for me and hopefully for you too. Thanks very much for watching, and I will see you next time. It's late. We watched 3 hours of Godless, and now I'm recording this late at night. Okay. Gonna minimize the door.